Whenever you learn a new programming language or a technology, we basically follow some steps. Now, if you focus only on programming here, what we do is we first start learning a syntax, and then we understand different aspect of that particular language, right? Starting with conditional statements and loops, and then we'll go for some advanced part. How do we handle files? How do we handle the exceptions? And it's common between most of the languages, right? This is a flow we go for. But then sometime when you just keep learning different things, we are learning this concept and that concept. Initially, you're very motivated because you want to get this language and you want to work on it. But then after some time, after learning all those concepts, you're like, hey, I'm learning so much, but I'm not able to build applications. Because see, ultimately, you are learning anything is because you want to build something. And then if I'm a trainer, so let's say if I make a course or if I'm teaching live, so what we do is just to give you that confidence that you can build an application, we try to build a small project, maybe a calculator or maybe a to-do app or maybe a calendar for that matter. So basically we build those small applications and then you are not happy, you feel, why we are building a to-do application or a calculator? It's so small. I want to build something big, something like Amazon or Netflix or maybe Instagram. I want to build my own Instagram. That's the fantasy we people have when you are learning a language. See, first of all, you cannot simply build Instagram in a day or a month alone, even for a year. You cannot build an Amazon in a year. There are huge applications, right? But still, since you want those things, what we do, in fact, I don't prefer to do that, but let's say if I teach you how do you build an app like Amazon or a Netflix. Now, there are two aspects here. One is a UI aspect and second is the backend aspect. Now, UI is something you will be excited about because when you see Netflix, you only see the UI part. You have no idea as a consumer of Netflix what is happening behind the scene. What technology they are using, how they are scaling it, how they are making it secure so that no one can hack those movies. So there are a lot of things happening behind the scene. But what you see is the UI. And then we name a new video. Let's build a clone of Netflix. You know what you're building? You're just building a UI of Netflix. You can basically show some photos of movies there, and maybe it is scrollable. Maybe when you click on something, it shows the rating of a movie. That's it. You have built a clone of Netflix. Not exactly. What you have built is only the UI. See, if you are learning a UI development, it makes sense because you are building something which you have seen that gives you confidence. But still, you are not doing anything what Netflix does. It has a lot of moving components in UI as well. We are not doing that, but at least you are one step forward. But what about the backend development? Let's say if you're learning Java for that matter, it's a complete backend stuff, right? And now I'm teaching you how do you build Netflix and then it sends a request to the backend. You're sending some data from the server to the client. Are you really building a clone of it? Not exactly. We are just passing data between client and server, which looks like a Netflix, but it's not exactly Netflix or not even a clone of it. Now, nothing wrong in that if you build a clone, but then it should be a part of a process, not something you have achieved. And no, that's a problem with me. I'm okay when you're building a clone, but the problem is the moment you feel that you have built a clone, you have achieved something huge. That's a good thing also that you are getting confidence. But then sometime when you build that and you feel I'm done, no, you're not done. We have to do a lot of different steps. Once you know how do you connect your client to the server, once you know how to send data from the server to the client, there are a lot of things left there. How do you managing your database? What kind of database you are working with? Is it NoSQL or SQL? Which suits more for the Netflix type of system? What type of cloud storage you're using? What type of scalable options you have? How do you provide security? I'm not asking you as a fresher to know everything, but at least think about it. You cannot be an expert in a day, but at least you should have that mindset when you want to clone something. Those are the things that are there. Before putting these things in your resume that you have cloned a Netflix, you're not done that, don't put that because once you go for the interviews, they will ask you questions. What do you mean by clone? What type of scalability options you have gone for? And then you have no idea. And that's the problem I'm talking about. So I'm not saying, of course, the title says stop building clone, but you should build clones, but don't have that false achievement. It has some advantages that you are building something which you have seen, but especially in the backend, you're not actually building anything which you have not seen, right? So build it, but then don't stop there. You have to go for the next steps. Instead of that, you can actually focus on building small applications. A lot of people talk about, let's build something big. You should. That should be your last project in the learning journey. But before that, build small projects in between. Example, I talked about to-do app. Maybe you can build a calculator, because when you build a calculator, you're actually building everything in that, because you know what is happening behind the scene as well. When you're building a to-do app, it's perfectly working. You can give it to your friend. That is sense of achievement. Even if it is small, that's a real achievement, not building a clone of Netflix. Okay, I'm just not targeting Netflix here. It's just that I have seen a lot of clones of Netflix on different platforms. So do that. So build small applications, and that you will get small achievements, and that is a real achievement, not false achievement there. And the most important thing, when you're learning something, follow a structured approach. I've heard this thing, learn by project. Yes, you can do that, but that should be your next step. First, learn the basics, then go for building a project. I've seen a lot of people directly learn a language. It can be JavaScript or Python. You learn a language just by making a project. Maybe you will learn certain concepts, but there will be a lot of gaps in between, and you have no idea what those gaps are. So preferred way is learn structured way till the basics, and then start building a project, and that's how you will learn more. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Don't just focus on building clones. Follow a proper structure and build small projects for small achievements. Thank you so much.